More women are claiming Donald Trump sexually assaulted them. But tonight, the words of the First Lady, Michelle Obama, could they be the decisive blow against the Trump train? I'm Brent Goff. This is The Day.
This was a powerful individual speaking freely and openly about sexually predatory behavior. And I know it's a campaign, but this isn't about politics. It's about basic human decency. But if we have a president who routinely degrades women, who brags about sexually assaulting women, then how can we maintain our moral authority in the world?
The campaign for the White House, so disturbing that First Lady Michelle Obama says she had to speak out. Tonight, you'll meet an artist who's also speaking out with a typewriter and postcards addressed to the candidates.
Dear Mr. Trump, and you would not like it if someone came to your house and talk about your family.
Courage, comma, strength and compassion.
Welcome to the program, everyone. Tonight, breakup over Brexit. Scotland moves closer to a vote to leave the UK in order to stay in the EU. And supersizing the World Cup. FIFA's new boss says the future on the pitch is bigger than ever. Those stories are coming up later. We begin the day with a list that seems to get longer by the day. More women are coming forward, claiming Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump sexually assaulted them. Well, today, Trump called those accusations absolutely false. He accused his Democratic opponent, Hillary Clinton, and the media of plotting to prevent him from winning the election.
We got very unfairly battered by people. I have no idea who these people are. The failing New York Times, and they're inventing false claims without any evidence, no witnesses, no nothing. An act that supposedly years and years ago. I never met these people. I don't even know who they are. They're made-up stories, filed right before the election. Right before the election. I wonder if that had anything to do with this, right? It's a disgrace. I really mean it's a disgrace. I want to talk about policies affecting our lives.
Well, Trump is not the only one firing with all of his guns. First Lady Michelle Obama, she delivered an emotional speech this week calling Trump a sexual predator. Her husband, President Obama, lashed out today at the Republican Party leadership for creating the conditions that have made Trump's candidacy possible. Take a listen.
The problem is not that all Republicans think the way this guy does. The problem is that they've been riding this tiger for a long time. They've been feeding their base all kinds of crazy for years. Primarily for political expedience. The only agenda is either negative, negative's a euphemism, crazy, based on lies, based on hoaxes. This is the nominee you get. You make him possible.
We show respect for each other, and that's what I want to try to ask people to do in these closing days of this campaign. You know, let's show some kindness and respect toward each other, and let's really repudiate the meanness, the divisiveness, the bigotry, the bullying we've seen from the other side.
Well, that was Hillary Clinton there speaking with Ellen DeGeneres earlier today. Well, what about the issues in this campaign? My first guest tonight is an artist and a professor who came up with an old-fashioned way of communicating to put the voice of voters back on the desktops of politicians. Take a look.
This version of I Wish to Say is really, really different. So I've been working with a group of 60 students from the University of North Carolina at Greensboro. And so it's very timely, very tied into the zeitgeist of the moment when it comes to politics.
Have you ever used a typewriter before? Nope. Yeah, it's
Well, I'm joined now by Sheryl Oring from Washington. Her new book, Activating Democracy, the I Wish to Say Project, has just been published. Congratulations on that, Sheryl, and it's good to have you on the day. I got to ask you, what made you think typewriters and postcards would ever get the attention of any presidential candidate?
Well, this project started as a way to give voice to ordinary Americans and to offer people who might not normally be quoted in the news media basically a chance to express themselves. That's how it all began.
We've got some examples of what you've been typing for people. Maybe we can show those to our viewers. These are serious issues too that people are dealing with. Have the postcards, have they been received and read by the candidates? Maybe we'll be able to show those to our viewers. I mean, what's been the reception?
So, the postcards are absolutely sent to the candidates. At this point in the election, things have evolved a little bit, and I'm now asking people to imagine sending it to basically dictate a letter to the next president. So they're imagining at this point who will be in the White House and expressing their wishes for that person. Now, of course, we want our politicians to read these and we want them to take them seriously. But Brent, I would say that another really key part of this project is that when someone sits down at my desk and I listen very closely to what they have to say, they often have a very emotional response and a very interesting response. That is, I think that they also get activated to maybe work towards, a change. And so there's several, points of this project. One is aimed at the politicians or the candidates themselves, but it's also aimed at the people I'm speaking with in an attempt to get them to take a more active role as citizens.
Do you get the impression, Sheryl, that you may actually be the first person who's asked them what they think about politics, or maybe who's shown that you take them seriously?
Brent, that is very likely, and I think that in the last couple of years, as our daily lives have become more and more mediated and more, ruled by our cell phone, this simple act of listening, of sitting down and listening to another person, has proved to be very powerful. And it's not uncommon that people who sit down with me end up breaking out in tears and telling me how moving the experience has been. And so, absolutely, I think that this act of listening is a very powerful part of this project.
And what about this campaign? I mean, this is a brutal, ugly campaign. That has to affect what people are telling you to type.
Oh, absolutely. And I was wondering if I could read one card from today that is exactly to that point. Would that be okay?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So this person sat down and said, I hope I'm not talking to Donald Trump. As awful as this election year has been, I think it got a lot of young people really interested in following the news. I think there's a lot of frustration, so there's going to be a big expectation for change, which I hope you can provide, because we will all be watching. And this is signed sincerely, Kayleen Nearney. She's a student at Catholic University here in Washington, D.C.
You got the idea for postcards and typewriters not in the U.S., but right here in Germany, right?
Well, I was actually living in Berlin for many years and went back to the United States in the second George W. Bush re-election campaign. And when I got back to this country, I felt very disconnected from politics and felt like I just didn't understand what Americans thought or what they actually wanted. And that's how the project came about. There was this sort of disconnect of having been away, having lived in Berlin for many years, and then having returned to the United States and just wanting to understand what people really thought about politics.
You know, it's said that politics and performance are one and the same nowadays. Would you say that what we're seeing now with Trump and these accusations, does that have anything to do with art performance? I mean, what is that?
Well, I think that may be a quote from Martha Wilson, who's the founder of the Franklin Furnace Archive in New York. It's yes, and she's a performance artist and has been performing as Donald Trump throughout this election season. So, there are a lot of connections, obviously, between performance and politics this time around, and maybe the politicians really are just performing this crazy role right now. I don't know, but I think the American people want more, and I think that right now, especially young people, are really questioning the type of discourse that we're hearing from Donald Trump.
Well, Sheryl Oring, we certainly do appreciate you taking the time to join us from Washington, and good luck as you continue with the I Wish to Say project. Sheryl, thank you very much.
Thanks so much.